Hello everybody, hope you're all pretty well. This is an interesting one. We've got a few of you going to be joining over for a moment, so we're going to just let everybody sort of come over. Hopefully we'll get a few of you from the premiere. I'm absolutely amazed by how many people came and joined and watched. We had well over 1,500, I think close to 2,000 people watching, which is mad. Absolutely mad. I can't quite believe that. The whole YouTube thing, to be honest, just is a constant surprise. So yeah, so let's start working through some questions. I'll tell you a little bit more about the car, things I didn't mention in the video, what the plans are, what's going to be happening, all that jazz. So yeah. As mentioned in the video, I bumped into it at AV Engineering last year, and it just stuck with me. One of the weird things about it, and I would love to know all your thoughts on this, is about the color. So everybody, Lars, yes, this is live. This bit now, this is live. This is live. Okay, so you message me in the comments. I will respond back to most of you. I pointed out in that video that we thought that the car had been color changed. So we thought that it was previously red, and then somebody had changed it to blue. But I did some digging, and the blue is the correct color for that car. That is what it's meant to be. It's the correct shade of blue. It's what they call blue Caelum, or Caelum, I don't know, Caelum. I actually really like the shade. My original plan, thinking that the car had been color changed, was to eventually just change it to something entirely different. But now I know that it's actually the correct color. And what Techie D has said is I think what might be the case is that it's either there's a red primer under there, or somebody has it was blue, then red, then blue. But generally, a car like that, it doesn't happen. Oh, the Organo sent me £5.20, which is very, very handy, because for the next month and a half at least, I'm going to be living mostly on Pepsi Max and boiled rice, which is probably good anyway. I probably need to do that. So yeah, a lot of people noticing the hair. So for those viewing from outside of the United Kingdom, hairdressers have been shut. Well, where I live, hairdressers have been shut since before Christmas time. I actually got my hair cut, I think, between two of the lockdowns in summer. The aim was then to get it cut and nice and fresh and ready for Christmas. And then the week I was going to get my hair cut, they threw us into Tier 4. So yeah, I haven't been able to see a hairdresser for quite a while, and probably won't be able to for at least another month or so. So yeah, I'm rocking the lockdown locks. Never realised that my hair would go kind of curly, but apparently it does. So yeah, so the car actually, I looked over it quite a bit, and by the way, the thumbnail, I originally did the thumbnail and just painted in the car, and then I realised it was so obvious that it was a Gallardo. So what I did was I rounded off the rear a little bit, and the rear then is basically modelled on a 12C. So essentially, I think people were guessing depending on which bit they saw first. If you saw the front, that is Gallardo, and the back of it is 12C. I like to muck around with the thumbnails as much as I can. So I love that. I'm going to. I will actually be changing the thumbnail of the video as soon as the live stream's done, because from a YouTube perspective, it's very difficult, because I wanted you all to have the fun and the excitement and all that jazz of guessing. Peter sends money. Thank you very much, Peter. That's going to go straight in the tank of the Lamborghini. Yeah, so it's I don't know where I was. So yeah, so the thumbnail was a bit of both. Okay, so Alex has asked about what it actually needs done. it's currently at AV Engineering now, and next week I'm going to be going over and filming the obligatory, everything wrong with the world's cheapest Lamborghini Gallardo video, because I have to. I'm sorry, it has to be done, right? One of the very, very few reasons that I did agree to buy the car anyway is because I knew that Aldous had been over it. So I knew that the engine was good. It's had a rebuild. It's got new lightweight forged pistons in it. It's got a new block on it, so that's all pretty good. The gearbox actually had a rebuild about 5 years ago or so, but it's not really done any miles in that time. Clutch is basically of the same age. It's done like 1,500 miles, so that's all good. The bits that needs doing is there's a whole bunch of bits of trim that's just gone missing. So the car's been in so many different places for so long, and some of the places were evidently not, particularly scrupulous, or certainly scruples were in short supply at some of these specialists. So it's crazy stuff like. So at the front, the little air scoops at the front, and doesn't the early Gallardo look really like a baby Murcielago? I never really noticed it until I spent some time looking at it. So behind those scoops, you have little they're either plastic or metal, I'm not sure which, ducts that then go to feed the radiators that are up the front, and then at the back there's a little shroud behind the fan to protect those. So those are missing. So that's 4 pieces in total, and they're like £400 each, which is nuts. Lamborghini parts pricing is all over the shop. Kajiko sent some bits over, so thank you very much. And he's just bought himself an F-Type SVR, which is a superb car, and I'm quite confident you are really going to enjoy it. They're wild, lots of fun, and as you sent money in dollars, I assume you're in America, so a Jag in America is a really cool thing. And do your best to tell everybody how you pronounce it. Not Jaguar, yeah, I don't even know what that is. It's just a Jag. Because Aldous had known the car, that was the reason I kind of agreed to get it, because we knew that it was not bent. If it ever has been crashed, it's either cosmetic stuff or it's been repaired to such a professional standard you can't even tell. The car hasn't been written off or anything like that. It's all pretty good. Bob has signed up to the channel membership thing. The channel membership thing, I don't really push very much, but I do bits on there. So it's kind of, you basically pay like a monthly thing, and you get extra stuff. So I put up videos that didn't quite make the cut, old pictures and things like that. I found a whole bunch of stuff that I filmed for another channel I was going to start. So that's going to be going up there soon. So yeah. Joachim has got a good question, which is what supercar would I have got for twice the money? So the Lambo was 45 grand. That's what I paid for it. I looked the other day, and Golf R, I think they start to like 40, 41 or something like that. And you add like 2 options. You add 2 options and it's 45 grand, which it's not a lot of money for a Lamborghini, but is quite a lot of money for a Golf, I think. Anyway, Smile Per Mile asks about, does my Garda have the firing order from the early Gardas? Yes, it does. So it's the 5-litre engine is an entirely different lump to the 5.2. Apostolis asks, is the pedal box too tight? Honestly, pedal box is one of the tightest in like any car I've driven. I got one pair of shoes I can easily drive that car in. It's mad. And if you look at the side profile of the car, you realise the windscreen, where it meets the bonnet at the front, is actually ahead of the front axle line. So you don't really realise it, but yeah, the pedal box is tight because the wheel arch is intruding in it. Road tax is about 300 odd pounds a year. No, Lamborghini don't offer a classic service like Ferrari do, the premium thing that I've had done with the Ferrari. As far as I know, there is no equivalent for Lamborghini. By and large, Lamborghini don't seem to have anywhere near as many of the kind of customer-focused things as Ferrari do. Now, I say that having spoken to a number of Lamborghini owners, but I want to try and deal with Lamborghini directly more. That's not an especially easy thing to do because the Lamborghini factory is not the easiest thing to speak to. I haven't really had much luck so far. I highly doubt owning one is really going to change that. But yeah, so a few people asking some questions that were answered in the videos. It is a manual. It is a manual car. If it was e-gear, I would not have bought it. I mean, if it was 30 grand and it was an e-gear, I probably would have considered it. But yeah, no, it had to be manual. I know you lot, none of you would have forgiven me had I gone and bought an e-gear car. And we've over 500 of you watching as well. I think that may be a new record for a live stream, so thank you very much. That means a lot. I wasn't actually going to, gonna even release this video for another 2 or 3 weeks. It's on my calendar here as there's the reveal the Gallardo. Which is why I even made reference to. I said a Boxster in the video. What I meant was a Cayman. I drove a Cayman GTS 4 litre. That video's coming out next Sunday, and that was 75 grand. Yeah, so that's more than the Ferrari. That's nuts. Ed Star, thank you very much. But yeah, how not to play thinks that this car will ruin me. It's possible. It's definitely possible. So yeah, I have thought about modifying the car. So with the 550, I'm going the Classic A route. So that means it's going to be pretty much all OEM, all original, all that jazz. But the Lamborghini, I want to do stuff with. I want to change it. I want to play around with it. I want to modify it. So one of the issues with it is that the little rear wing, I mean, it's a tiny little thing, isn't it? It's literally about that big. It should move. It should basically do that. It doesn't. All the cables are missing. All the motor mechanism for it is missing. And honestly, to try and fix that all would cost a lot of money. So it is just going to get a Superleggera style wing or something like that on there, because I think a Lambo should have a wing on the back. I know exactly the feeling or the sentiment from people about Lamborghinis not having wings, especially the older ones like Countach and so on. I understand why people would not want a wing on them. But with this one, no, sod it, is getting a wing. Like I just don't care. Like it's getting a wing. So most of the stuff really is cosmetic. I mean, so some of the paintwork's actually in really good condition. And here's the mad thing, right? I was going through the service history, of which the car actually does have a reasonable amount. And one of the last things that the guy paid for, the individual who then overfilled it with oil and sold it, he paid 700 odd pounds to have the car all Swiss waxed and detailed and corrected and everything. So like the front end is really good. Unfortunately, the right side wing mirror has been smashed. It's still there, and it still kind of works, but it doesn't move or anything like that, and it's kind of just about hanging in. So that needs to be replaced, and they're like £1,000 each. I need new glass on the passenger side one. The interior needs a little bit of tidying up. The interior is blue, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not on board with the all blue interior. I don't mind some blue, and today I was filming a really beautiful 993 Carrera 2, and that was a blue car with a blue and cream interior. So that's kind of given me some inspiration. And Lamborghini did do a blue and cream interior as well for the Gallardo, and that looks quite nice. So kind of tempted with that. I mean, I've already got one car with a sort of part cream interior. Yeah. So Andrew Hurst has just pointed out something very, very accurate, Andrew. You're absolutely correct in what you say. That, you know, it would be very easy to spend sort of 15,000 quid on it, which would make this car probably more expensive than just going and buying, you know, a car out there with, you know, a regular history and nothing odd to tell about it. And that's very true. There's a couple of reasons that I got this one. First off, I don't have 60 grand. I mean, I only just about managed to get 45 together, and that involved a lot. That's why this car is why I've been doing daily videos in February, because I wanted to make sure that February was a nice, healthy month. So when I get the payout from this at the end of March, that kind of is going to more or less finish paying for the car. Yeah, obviously as a YouTuber, I can monetize the thing. So I can make videos about the process, which I hope many of you are going to, of course, join me for. So I can, you know, do videos on getting all the mechanical stuff done. We'll start with very first stuff to be done is on Thursday. I even fixed a thing myself because I brought the car home for the first time. So I brought it back here to just film with for a couple of days, and then it was going back to the dealer and then off to AV. So I got it back and then realised it wouldn't lock. I had both keys for it, so it's even got 2 keys. So I did both keys and it just didn't want to lock. Luckily, that turned out to be just a dead battery in the key fob, and that's my level of mechanical knowledge. So I managed to fix that. Managed to sort that myself. So a couple of people mentioned about the wheels on the car. So they are OEM Lamborghini wheels, but they're from a later Gallardo. I don't like them. I much prefer the early wheels. That's what I prefer. So I want to get a set of those. I could get a set of like OZs or something like that, cheaper than the original genuine Gallardo wheels. So kind of in two minds. I would be really tempted by a set of the Superleggera wheels. Unfortunately, the Superleggera wheels are like £7,000, something like that. So yeah, they're expensive. Whereas I think I can get a set of the original wheels for about £2,000 or so, and I really like those. The sort of they kind of echo the original Lamborghini sort of style. So yeah. You can also get HRE wheels and stuff like that, and they are mad money. Also they come in sizes that I don't want. The car's got 19s on it, and that's what's staying on there. Don't want anything bigger than 19s. So yeah, the other thing, obviously, as a YouTuber, I get good rates generally on, you know, parts and labour and whatnot, and I'll do deals with all the different places that I work with on the car to sort of help me with it. And I can, of course, you know, write off some of the work. Somebody did ask about the you know, the tax implications and stuff like that of buying these cars as a YouTuber. I don't know how other YouTubers do it, but the sort of legit way that I try and do it, the car itself, I can't claim anything back for the car. I just can't. But the work and stuff that I do to it, all that stuff that kind of winds up being the content for all of you, that I can. So that kind of gets written off. I can claim my VAT back as well as I'm VAT registered. Very, 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 very boring stuff to know about, I know. So yeah. So let me have a look and go through the questions up here. Yes, the fuel economy is terrible. It's really awful. Actually, the biggest problem with the car at the moment, something's going on with it. Now, we initially suspected breather hose, but we now believe it's the carbon canister because you pretty much couldn't fill it up. So, you know, you try and put some fuel in it and the pump would just click off. So you had to put fuel in it like really, really slowly, like you're there for like 10 minutes and you've only put 10 quid in the thing. And when it goes through it at the rate that a Lamborghini goes through fuel, that becomes quite tiresome. I went to 3 petrol stations in a day in it, just putting 20 quid in at each one. Oh, that got so boring so fast. So That's currently being investigated. Some of the parts prices have been really reasonable. Yeah. Also, somebody's asked if I want to review a Nissan Qashqai. I actually filmed a Qashqai review the other day. Just finished editing it. And I'm also actually just in the process of editing a video on a V60 Polestar. So, yeah. Oh, dear. No, I'm not taking the car to Litchfield. Oh, that's going to be a YouTube joke for a while, isn't it now? Yeah. Okay, so Ollie asks a question, which actually is really good, and so this is one of the things I want to get into with the car. So it's always basically been said that the Gallardo is essentially an R8. More accurate to probably say that the R8 is a Gallardo, because the Gallardo predated it by 4 years. No, I don't know where the cat is. I don't know. Well, actually, no, I do know where the cat is. The cat is next door sleeping. So she will probably manifest at some point in time. But yeah, where is the cat? V60 is it? This guy. So yeah, I've spoken to a few different people, including Ricky at RE Performance, who's pretty much like the guy who does Gallardo stuff. Matt Armstrong, if you know his channel, he's just bought himself an LP560, which is the later one, which has the Audi 5.2 V10 in it. I do find it kind of funny. The world's gone all topsy-turvy. I go and buy a really, really dirt cheap Gallardo, and he goes and buys a really, really quite nice one. Things have all gone backwards. So I want to do a whole bunch of videos looking at what the Gallardo really is, the ways that it differs to an R8. Apparently, the later Huracan and the second generation R8, if you kind of peeled the skin off of those, you would find that underneath they are pretty much identical things. Whereas the Gallardo and the first R8 actually are quite different, to the extent that the Gallardo has a different wheelbase. So the minute your wheelbase is, and it's not an insignificant difference. It's like 90 millimeters or something. So that's a big change on a car like that. And there will be other differences throughout. Apparently the way that the chassis is welded is kind of different. Parts of it, I'm sure, will look quite similar. And same with the engines. Like if you looked at a 5-litre engine and a 5.2-litre engine, as a layperson, they're both V10 engines, what's the difference? But they do have some quite significant differences. They also sound quite different, all that jazz. Tanzil sent some Canadian dollars over. Thank you very much. You want to know 991 GT3 RS versus Lambo Huracan, which to get and why, best bang per buck? Well, the GT3 RS is probably going to be the better car to drive. I haven't yet actually driven a Huracan. I've never experienced a Huracan. Not even sure I've even sat in a Huracan. To be fair, there's a lot of cars where the first time I've ever sat in one was also the first time I drove it. So yeah. Do you have to dress differently in a Lambo? No, I just dress as fabulous as I always do. This is my Lambo revealing shirt. So yeah. A few people mentioned about Ian Tyrrell. Actually, I was talking to somebody about Ian Tyrrell today. I've never spoken to Ian ever. By all accounts, he's apparently a lovely man. I watched his video yesterday where he's doing some Lambo content, Murcielago, stuff like that. So yeah, that was very, very interesting. Dan wants to know, would I feel safe driving it on a runway at over 150 mile an hour? Not at the moment. And I'll give you 6 excellent reasons as to why not. The 2 front ball joints are shot. They are currently being sent off. I think on Monday they're getting sent off. There's a chap that rebuilds them. So what you find with a lot of these cars, actually, it's not really just a Lambo thing. You get these little bits. So for example, the ball joints on them on the early cars fail. The only solution Lamborghini give you is to buy like a whole new arm for like £2,000 or something mad. But there is a chap on eBay who will rebuild them for like a quarter of that price. So they're getting sent off to him. He's going to rebuild those. I am paying for that. This is not going to get done for me for free. This is much money is going to be spent on this thing. So that's going to be done. And also, the tires on it, they're not good. They're not good. The rear two, I think they're Kumos, so they're okay. But they are like 5 years old. But the fronts are some weird, far-off brand that I've never heard of, and they're definitely not okay. They are 7 years old or something like that, as are the tyres on the Ferrari. Now, the big difference between the Gallardo and the Ferrari in terms of tyres, the Gallardo's really easy. Because the Ferrari has some really oddball tyre sizes. So it's like 255 40 18s at the front, I think, and 295 35 18s at the back on the Ferrari. So there's officially there's only like one make of tyre, like the Bridgestones that are currently on it. You can definitely get those front and rear matching, but otherwise it's a bit odd because you can't get Pilot Supersports. It's very difficult to find anyone that will supply Pilot Supersports for front and rear. There are people that say that they're actually out of production on like either the front or the rear. So I've actually got in touch with Michelin to try and work out what on earth to do with the tyres on the Ferrari. On the Lambo, not really such an issue. Were the tyres put on there by the track day company? They probably are. But to be fair, like when you're running like a little experience day company, like you don't really need to worry about putting fancy tyres on the car. Pauls, yes, thank you very much for your donation, much appreciated. So tyres is a high priority for the car. Ball joints, tyres, and then before summer, I need to get all the little missing ducts and things like that, and the under tray is missing as well. These are just kind of little bits. I say little bits, they're a fortune, £400-500 each. But I knew this. This was the kind of car that had someone like myself not gone and rescued it, it probably would have gone on being a cursed thing to whoever wound up bumping into it, because whoever was going to buy that car was either a private individual hoping to sort of take a chance and get a car, and then at auction, they may not have known much about it, so they would have wound up, potentially buying into a car, not really having a clue what they were letting themselves in for. Or it would have wound up going to, another dealer who may have attempted to kind of hide what the car needed. And in fairness to it, you would expect an X-Experience Day car to have a knackered interior. Sparky, thank you very much. I shall indeed buy a drink for the Gallardo on your account. It's thank you everybody. This means an awful lot to me. The fact that you're not just the donation bit, the fact that you're merely here is lovely. So hopefully we're all keeping each other occupied and entertained in this sort of strange and unusual times that we find ourselves in. Do excuse me a moment. Oh, welcome to the car, guys. Got a few of my YouTube friends. Mr. Dean is watching as well. I've driven only a few Gallardos on the channel before. The first one, I believe, was the Experience Day car, the Car Limits one, the maroon one that I drove. Then the next one after that would have probably been Damien's manual Balboni. And then after that was the Mark 1 Superleggera. And I still have a massive thing for the Mark 1 Superleggera. That is, I think it's the Mark 1 Superleggera, that's kind of the car for me. Like, I always love that. And for some reason, I don't know, for me with a lot of Lamborghinis, maybe it's a very Lamborghini thing, and actually some Ferraris are similar. And actually I just got a message through, popped up from my friend Adam Ivel. So I know he's not probably watching at the minute. He's probably watching the reveal video. So Adam's a cool guy. He may get a go in the Ferrari at some point. He's had a go in the Ferrari. He may get a go in the Lambo at some point. Can you daily drive a Gallardo? I mean, you could. I wouldn't want to daily drive mine, so it also needs things like it needs a it will need a reversing camera on it. It will need a new stereo in it. Although actually the speakers in that are quite good. I was very surprised. I thought they'd be tragic. Yeah. As to Car says, do I need to pay you a tenner to ask you something? No. The first question is always free, so that's your one. I'm kidding. So yeah, Syrian says he pities my wallet, as do I. Steve wants to know what's going on with all the hats behind me. One day, every one of these hats, every one of these baseball caps is a story. Every one of them has something attached to it, somewhere that I've been, something that I've experienced. To give you an example, this one is from a place called the Brickyard. I will maybe this will be a theme. There's a couple of themes I want to do for live streams at some point. Maybe one will be hats, and at one point I would want to do a live stream where the idea is that all the questions are not car related. So anyway, so this one is from a place called the Brickyard. Now, very confusingly, and thanks to Ollie for his very kind donation. That's much appreciated. And Mr. E as well. And every little really does help when you've just bought a Lamborghini with problems. That is extremely true. So yeah, the Brickyard, many people, car people, will go, I know where that is. That's Indianapolis. No, it's not. No. The Brickyard is the nickname for the Indianapolis circuit, but the Brickyard is also the name of a brilliant little sort of bar and grill, sports bar type place just down the road from Daytona Speedway. I think even on International Speedway Boulevard. And this is, they do the Brickyard Lounge. If you go on the website, it's from like the 90s, and the website's the kind of website, you know, where you go on it and it looks like the place must be shut down, because any website that is best viewed in Netscape Navigator, probably from a company that doesn't exist anymore. But happily, they do, and they make great burgers. And so if I'm in Daytona Beach, I will always go and have a burger there. And that was the first place that I stopped and ate when I went to America 2 years ago now with my good old buddy Laurie, when we had our big trip out there into Western North Carolina. So yeah, so I did that. I have had a look at the OZ Super Turismo wheels, but they're big. I think they're in 20s. So, and I really want to stay on the 19s, because as it is, the car rides pretty firm. It's not horrific. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, don't worry. The car is not being twin turboed. I am not supercharging it. I am not single turboing it. I am not doing any of that stuff to it, because for a few reasons. Number one, there's at least 2 YouTubers I can think of who are twin turboing their Lamborghini Gallardo. Number 2, I can think of nothing worse to do to the car. Like, that would just be horrible. It's a supercar. It's about response. It's about interaction. It's about feel. I'm not a big fan of sort of, you know, turboing a car. Cars with turbos is a different matter. And some cars are meant to have it. It's part of the character of certain vehicles. You know, it's Subaru Impreza. I couldn't imagine one without a turbo on it. But no, the Gallardo is already 500 odd horsepower. I will be doing stuff to it. The catalytic converters will need replacing. They're actually fresh new OEM ones that are on there. But the catalytic converters on first-gen Gallardos are not very good. And they are well known for being the cause of many an engine failure. A bit like on the Ferrari 430, the third-gen MR2. Essentially, what happens is, over time or whatever, the catalytic converters break up. And because of the way that the engine works, it can actually suck broken bits of catalytic converter into the engine, which is not good, to be honest. Overall, it's a negative thing for the engine. So, yeah. My favourite Gallardo moments on YouTube or Top Gear or TV. Well, this is one of the things, right? This is one of the things with it, is that I've watched, I must have watched nearly all of the Gallardo content out there on YouTube now. And I don't think much of it is very good. It all seems to be retreading the same stuff, or they're people in America driving the damn things on their, arrow straight roads. And I do know that America has roads in, other varieties, but people seem to be just taking them to the most awkward and weird of places and just not really enjoying them. Or people just doing the whole, London supercar thing, putting an obscenely loud exhaust on it, going vroom, 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 and until flames come out the back and it craps a piston or whatever. I'd actually encountered first-gen Gallardos a couple of times in the past. So when before I even started the channel, I had, a bunch of money together to buy what became my Lotus Evora. And I really did fancy getting either a Ferrari or a Gallardo or something. The Ferrari would have been a 360, but the problem was 360 prices had already jumped from like 40k to 60k, and I just envisioned that they could drop back down to 40k, and I didn't really like the 360 enough. 40k I'd have had one, 60k, not so much. So I then visited, there's a local specialist down here who deals in Ferrari, Maserati, and Lamborghini. And I went to go and see them and ask their opinion on the early Gallardo. And there was a Gallardo Spider there, and the engine for it was over there. And as mechanics stood around it, overalls covered in oil, smoking away, swearing a lot. As they do, these sort of coarse ruffian mechanic types. No, they're lovely people. Essentially, I said to him, "What's going on?" And essentially, it was burning a lot of oil and was going to be sent off to Italy for a rebuild, which I was told was going to be about 30 grand. And I asked if that was a common problem, and the response was, "Well, it's not uncommon." And I was instantly put off because I knew that whatever car I bought, I was, I would not have had, if something went wrong with it, I wouldn't have been able to magic up 25 grand to fix the car, and I would have had to have then sold a broken car. So I got put off there. Did think about it when I got the 550, but really the 550 was the car I wanted to get. I wanted to get a Ferrari. And also, again, I was still worried about that whole, I do want the 5 litre because it's the car I prefer the looks of, the sound of, everything else. And I just worried about it going pop. And then so when I bumped into this car at Aldous', but unfortunately I'd only recently got the 550 then, and I just thought, wouldn't that be a great car? Like, cosmetically, yeah, it needs some work, it needs some help, but the mechanics of it are pretty solid. So yeah. Somebody just asked this thing. I do have all of your comments and things up here. They scroll through, so I do. If I miss your comment, I apologise. I try and get stuff. So Smile Pamar asks, have I considered getting a unit to store some of my cars? Yeah. So I did look into getting like just a barn to store a load of stuff, but they're quite expensive. Also, I just bought a Lamborghini. But what I have done is, as a specialist car company very locally to me, like 15 minutes away, they've started doing car storage. So I've actually just I've booked 2 spaces with them, so stuff will be going in there. Probably not actually the Ferrari and the Lamborghini, because the weather's getting nicer. I want to keep those on the driveway as much as I can because I love looking at them. Actually, there was some kids walked past the driveway today, and the Ferrari's there at the minute. The S2000 is there at the minute. And I've also got the Rocketeer. So for those who don't follow me on Instagram, the Rocketeer MX-5 I've got this weekend. So I've been filming with that, which I've really enjoyed. And yeah, these kids saw them. I just heard one of them going, "Oh mate, he must be well rich." How little they know. How little they know. There's YouTuber life. It's all fake. The whole thing's cardboard. You push the front of the house, it all just falls down. It's like Blazing Saddles, only less racist. So yeah. Do I like the Ace Cafe? It's all right. I used to live not too far from there, actually. Yeah, it's okay. I've not been in a very long time. I don't like where it is, or the sort of behaviour that it attracts, because I worried it sort of gives the sort of petrol heady lot a bad name in general. Actually, while out filming yesterday, I had some man shout obscenities at the car as I drove past, and we were doing the drive-by bit. And for no reason at all, because I could see the car pretty much the entire time that this guy was driving up and down the road while we're doing our stuff, and he was not being a fool or anything like that. But some people just get really, really upset and angry. Yeah. Simon Middleton asks, did I dare to dream 5 years ago that I'd have both a Ferrari and a Lamborghini on the driveway and own both of them? No. No. I did not. Either one of those would just be crazy. The fact I have both has not set in. I can assure you. When the car, having it here last time, because it was only here for a few days, so it was kind of felt like it was very temporary, it was very fleeting. The next time it comes back here, it's staying. That's going to be weird. That's going to be really weird. Mind Control said, surely the dealer must have refused to pay some of the bills for this work that was done badly. They certainly refused to pay some of them, and rightly so, but unfortunately others, there wasn't much they could do about. So I suspect that, all told, the £108,000 figure, it could have been worse, I'm sure, but I've seen a lot of the service. The service history for the car is actually really good. I mean, again, when you buy a really, really cheap example of a car, you don't expect it to come with service history or stuff like that. And actually, it's got quite a bit in there. Stephen's asked me about insurance. Honestly, I don't know. I have absolutely no idea how much the car costs to insure, because I have a trade policy. So as long as the car's not worth at the current time more than £350,000, I just go on a website, type in the reg number, and it's done. So that's not so bad. Wow, we now have over 600 viewers watching. Thank you so much, including Impact coaches. Interesting. It recommends 1552 wheels. Okay, yeah, I've seen some 1552 wheels, normally on like modded hatchbacks and stuff like that. I'm not sort of fond of that style, but I'm sure they do others, so I will give them a look. Yeah. Rugger's just tuned in. What did I get? I got a Lamborghini Gallardo, a manual one. It's lovely. Here's a good one from Apo. What engine configuration haven't I owned yet? So I have had, including motorbikes as well, because I've owned single-cylinder bikes. I've also ridden two-cylinder bikes, three-cylinder bikes and cars, 4 cylinders. I've done 5 cylinders. I've then owned 6 cylinders. Have I owned a V6? I must have owned a V6 at some point. Yes, Alfa Romeo was a V6, Brera. I've owned numerous straight 6 BMWs. I've driven and owned V8s. I haven't driven a straight 8. I know someone with one. I really want to drive that. I have driven V10s, and I have driven and owned V12s. I guess I own V10 as well now. Not done a 16. I've not done a flat 12. Not driven one of those. Sparky says I've driven flat 4s. I've owned a flat 4. I've owned a flat 4 because I've owned the Subaru. Okay. So that's a good question. So what is it I need to do? Because there was a while until I'd driven a 5-cylinder. That was kind of one of the missing ones. And I'm not sure anything did a 7-cylinder. So yeah. Okie dokie. I've done rotary. I've done rotaries. In fact, I've done 2 and 3 rotor cars. Yeah. Have I owned a V4? No, I haven't. No, I haven't indeed. Okay. There's a VR5. Yeah, I've not driven a VR5. I've driven W12, not owned a W12. Yeah. When am I going to review the BBR 225? I will. Drop me a line. I will. I think you did the other day anyway, so I will do that. Lloyd asks, have I ever tried a 330ci Club Sport manual BMW? Yes, I owned one. One of my favourite cars ever. In fact, I can't remember if I told the story in here, but I was talking about it today, and it's a great story. My 330ci, I was filming in a quarry in north of England. I'm mucking around every day, 6 days a week, driving this thing through a quarry. And when I got home, I realised that all the sand and grit had gone through the lacquer, through the paint, and started rusting the car. But that was a 2005 car. This must have been about 2014. It was on like 140,000 miles. It was a 9-year-old car. I took it to BMW, and they sorted all of it under warranty, because the facelift ones had a 12-year anti-corrosion warranty. And I freaked out the guy that bought it after me, because he did some research into the car, and he then said, "Oh, James, was the car in an accident?" "No, why?" So, because BMW, someone paid £4,000 on paintwork on that car. And it's like, yeah, that was me. Andrew wants to know what I review an XE's 390 Final Edition. That's one of the new Lotus that's just come out. I would review one if I got the chance. I doubt I'm going to get the chance for a while. I wish they had. Kept. Oh, and Dan's reminded me. My Lotus was a V6. Yes, my Lotus was a V6 because at one point I think I had supercharged, turbocharged, and naturally aspirated on the driveway. And I've now got. Well, okay, it's not here, but I've now got 4, 6. 10 and 12 on the driveway, so I need to buy like a V8 again. Maybe something nice and sensible like a Maserati Gran Turismo. Like, also, hand on heart, Maserati probably far more likely to bankrupt me than the Ferrari or the Lamborghini. That just seems to be the way. Drove a Maserati the other day, so that's another review that you've all got to look forward to. That was a Quattroporte. So that was a great thing. The new Alpha GTA M, my thoughts. I have done a video on just that, but by and large, it's incredibly expensive, and doesn't seem to be, So Joe says he guesses that the Rocketeer MX-5 that I have isn't quite as rusty as Alex Kirsten's Phil. Is Phil still rusty? I thought Phil wasn't rusty. I thought Phil had got sorted. The car that I have, is Rocketeer's demo car. So they're very, very nice to me. I asked the guy, Bruce, there, if I could borrow the car for a weekend and film with it. And he very kindly let me, which is good, because, it's a small business, Rocketeer. This is sort of the official demo car that they have. So, if something happened to it, that would be quite bad for their business. And also, if I gave the Rocketeer a really bad review, that actually does have a chance of hurting their business. So to lend a car out to somebody like myself is a real risk that he's taken. But fair play to the guy. He's given it to me for an honest review, and an honest review it shall have. But it's a lot of fun, and it gets a lot of love. Actually, the Rocketeer. The best thing about it is when you take it out, and then people will spot it's got a cool like V6 MXV number plate on it, and people will see it and they'll be like, "Oh, I took it out the other day, so I went to go and collect some food from my local pub, and the owners of it are real petrol heads, and I said to him that I'd be bringing along something really cool, and I turned up in it, and he sort of said, "Oh, you said you're going to be bringing something really, really cool, and it's just an MX-5. And then he looked at it again, he went, "It's not a Rocketeer, is it?" And I was like, "Yes, it is." And his eyes lit up. I was out today filming the 993, and I was out in the Rocketeer, as a young lad pulled up who actually recognised me, and he was like, "Oh wow, is that the Rocketeer?" And I gotta say, the engine bay on the Rocketeer is beautifully turned out. It's one of those engine bays. Like, I get it with the Ferrari. I just love opening the engine cover up, because just you see it and it's like, oh bloody hell. I mean, the Rocketeers are not quite Ferrari level, but it's very, very nicely turned out. little carbon intake trumpets and stuff like that. Cadbury Cream Egg asks, "Am I going to put a private plate on the Lamborghini?" No, no, I'm not. The reason being, the plate that's currently on it is FA53CUH, which to me, if you sort of squint a bit and you say it's stupid, that says fast car. So I kind of like that. I think that might have actually just been, I don't think that's a private plate. That's just its reg. So yeah. Thank you very much. Did fill cost 35 grand? So 35 grand to do fill up. Oh my word. That's yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of money. Cerbera V8 or Griff. I've not driven a Cerbera V8. I've only driven the straight 6. Love driving the Cerbera. Great feeling car. Really, really good. Really tight together. I was very surprised, actually. I've never been a big fan of the Griffith. I prefer the Chimera. Just on a looks basis, and let's be honest here, they're the same car underneath. So, yeah. How long will it take before I film an F40 or an F50? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, never say never. I never thought that I would get the chance to drive an XJ220, but that, you know, that happened. I never thought that, you know, by now I would own a Ferrari, and yet it happened. I definitely didn't think that I'd have a Ferrari and a Lamborghini. So yeah. John, friend of the channel, welcome, thank you. Yes, the Ferrari has been treating me reasonably well. Tradition Art, thank you for the donation, very kind. There's a video coming out soon, which will be an update on the 550 and the ownership experience of that. Long story short, this little chappie caused me some grief. And the car went all Italian. So there's a video coming out on what this is, what it did, and how much it cost me to fix. Because the Ferrari main dealer experience has actually been really, really good. One of the things that I want to do with the Gallardo is I want to do a video comparing the sort of running costs of that and a Ferrari. Now, comparing it against my own Ferrari, I don't think is right because, the 550 is front engine and it's a V12, and the Gallardo is also mid-engine and it's V10, and it's sort of from a different era. The 550 is sort of a late 90s car, whereas the Gallardo is really a mid-noughties car. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to phone around a couple of places, like I'll phone Meridian, I'll phone a Lamborghini main dealer, and I'll just get their kind of off-the-peg prices for the basic stuff. So, minor service, major service, clutch, neither of them have belts, but brakes, that sort of stuff. And then I might compare those with a couple of independents as well, just to see kind of, just to see how different they are. But yeah. Have I ever reviewed a Nissan Cube? No, I have not. I did see one the other day though. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. How does the Lambo compare to a grey manual V10 R8? So, haven't really had much time in the Lambo, and that's time spent with knackered old tyres, in the snow, with broken ball joints. So, really haven't been able to get much of a feel for the car. So, I will be doing a video discussing it in comparison to an R8. Handily, my neighbour over the road has just bought himself his first supercar. Everyone I know is getting supercars at the minute. It's great. It's wonderful. My buddy Steve had the Alpha 4C that was on the channel. He's just picked himself up a 570 GT McLaren. So congratulations to him. A lot of people thought that what I bought was a 12C. And honestly, I would have a 12C. I would genuinely have a McLaren. When I got the 550, I was looking at different things. And there was a 12C up in Scotland, coupe, volcano red, with some beautiful gold wheels, been really well looked after by its owner. Yeah, and I was very tempted by it, but the 550 was just where my heart was at. You know, that's what I wanted to make happen. I just wasn't sure whether I could or I couldn't. So yeah. People asking me if I can get a review of the Gordon Murray T50 done. I don't think the channel is anywhere near big enough to get Gordon Murray's attention, unfortunately. So Lloyd asks, does the 5-litre V10 have a better howl at the top of the rev range compared to the 5.2? Yes, it does. It's quite a different sound. One of the issues I'm going to be facing is the catalytic converters do have to come off my car because it's just a safety thing. But I need to put some sports cats on there. I don't want to run a decat for various reasons. I don't want the car to be silly loud. I would like an aftermarket exhaust on there, but I'd like it on there for a bit of weight saving and also just because it'd be nice and neater and tidier and look better. But getting an aftermarket exhaust for that car that isn't just designed to be stupid loud is very difficult. Evidently, your sort of typical Lamborghini aftermarket exhaust customer just wants it to sort of fire and just be a bit wild and crazy and all that jazz. So this is going to be interesting. And as Henry asked, no, a decat is not legal anyway. A good quality sports cat is not so bad, especially when the original catalytic converters just fail. Yeah, so yeah. Ollie wants to know if I'd be interested in doing a stage 1 V6 F-Type. Yeah, I suppose so. I don't tend to really like the V6 F-Types, but if it's a bit different than normal, then yeah. So yeah. Thoughts on the new Lexus IS 500? I don't really know. So Joe Black has asked if I'm going to be going, or if I go to car meets in the UK. Yeah, I really want to get some car meets or go to some car meets this year. By the sounds of things, it will happen. Hopefully, come July, August time, these things will start happening. I've been wanting to go to a car meet for absolutely ages, long overdue. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing that, and I also want to organise a couple of events. There's a couple of people that I know that own pubs. There's my local pub, and also my good friend Alex Brake owns the Bird in Hand, the pub near Lotus in Norfolk, and I want to try and not host an event because it sounds awful. I hate the idea of like a whole come and meet the YouTuber, everyone. That's awful, isn't it? That sounds like a horrible, horrible thing. But I would like to try and use it as an excuse to drum up some business for my good friends. They run very good places and they've got decent parking facilities. So to get a few of us together and actually meet properly would be lovely. So, yeah. Have I ever driven a Clio V6? Yes, and reviewed. The video is up. Just go looking for it. How many years off my own life did I lose driving my Lambo in the snow? So, when we were filming, so the footage you saw, we shot, and unfortunately, I'm not really probably going to be able to use much of it because obviously there was snow everywhere. So normally when I get a new car, I actually have a day where I just film loads of shots of it driving about. Because if I then do a video featuring that car, I can just drop in those shots to make it look like I had some drive-bys done, when actually they're the same old drive-by shots all the time. People just don't really notice. Unfortunately, with the Lambo, I can't really reuse those shots. But the road we were using for the drive-bys, where I turned around at the end, was actually completely solid ice. Not snow, just ice. So you had to crawl on it. And the car did okay. You could sort of just about get turned around on it. But, I mean, I'm not saying it aged me, but the other day I did notice that I have greys now. That's a terrifying thought. Can I review a Passat R36? I would love to. I need to get someone to offer me one, but I'd love to drive a Passat. I'd love to drive Passat W8 as well, because that's a weird old car. Would I like to review a TVR Chimera? Yes, love to. Okay, and now there's a good question about the Elan M100. I did film a review with the Elan M100, but I didn't put it out. In fact, I need to get in touch with the owner of that car because I filmed the review. I was intending to do it as part of a bigger thing that never quite worked out. And then by the time I came around to editing the review, it was one of the very, very early. It was in the first few months of doing YouTube. I filmed it. I just wasn't happy with it. I just did not like what I'd done. So I never put that video out. So I need to get back in touch with the guy, especially as the weather's getting nice. Yeah, so that's something I want to get done. The M100 is a great car, criminally underrated. Andrew Mackey wants to know if I've driven a 993. Yes, I have. My mother used to own a 993 Targa. I did a lot of miles in it. And in fact, today I was filming a beautiful iris blue 993 Carrera 2, which was lovely. Scariest handling car I've ever driven. That's a good one. The MR2 that I drove the other day, that was quite sketchy because the back end on that broke away at very low speeds. That was quite unexpected. It wasn't super scary. The Civic Type R FK2 that I drove, that was wild. You just put your foot down and it just kind of just went wherever it wanted to. That was terrifying. I've driven a few cars that have had like problems with them, and they've been terrifying because if you start getting my M3, actually the M3, because one of the tie rods at the back broke. So essentially one of the rear wheels essentially could do whatever it liked. So you put your foot on the throttle and it would just sort of turn right. So that was scary. Cool. Yeah, if someone's got an R36, please do send me an email. Have I ever driven a Volvo with a 2.4 litre D5 engine? Yes, I think so. The XC70 that I drove, I think, had that engine in it. Okay. Hannon's appreciated the quality of the stream. And you know what? Today, the stream, at long last, I have been having so many issues with this darn thing. The stream finally appears to be behaving itself. It hasn't dropped any frames. The upload rate seems fairly consistent. It all seems to be working. He says, almost certainly jinxing it. Don't do that, James, you silly bugger. The highest revving car that I've ever driven. That would be the modified, the supercharged S2000 that I drove, because that one went to 9,300 RPM. Interestingly, the highest I've ever driven was about 9,300 feet. That was on the road from sort of San Francisco way, the Bay Area, over to Reno in Nevada. And it was funny because I was in a convertible Mustang, and when I started the journey, it was like everyone was driving a convertible Mustang. Then the further and further you got, you realised, like, hang on a minute. At one point, I'm the only person in a Mustang. Everyone else has got great big, 4x4s or SUVs or such like. So yeah. What is the most well-balanced car, front to rear? So the best canyon carving car. That's a really good question. The MX-5, the Rocketeer, is really, really well balanced because it's an MX-5. They're inherently well balanced, and the car, the balance front to rear is unaffected. In fact, the aluminium V6, the Jag V6 that goes in, is actually lighter than the iron four-pot that they take out. So that's a very balanced car. The 993 I drove today, that was a very, very nicely set up car as well. You can really sort of dance with the car, sort of front and rear. Quite a few people ask me whether I'm going to be selling the 130. I might. I mean, I've more or less worked out a way now to get the Lambo paid without needing to sell the 1 Series, so that's okay. The best car stereo system that I've ever heard, that would be the Burmester and the Taycan Turbo. So, yeah. Okay, what future car am I most excited about being able to drive? I don't know. I mean, if I did get a go in the Gordon Murray thing, that would be quite cool. Yeah. Which do I prefer, FK or GR Yaris? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. What's my tip for the next modern classic? Actually, whenever people ask me that, I tend to say Mark 1 Focus RS. Because I think that's got all the makings of a future classic if it isn't already a classic now. So, yeah. There we have it. Anyway, my camera battery is running low, as am I. I'm very grateful to absolutely everybody who has tuned in, joined me for the premiere, and now the live stream. The title of the video is actually going to change now because I'm hoping it'll draw a few more people in that don't normally watch the channel. I'm going to talk a little bit more about titles and thumbnails and YouTube in a future video soon. So I don't know when my next live stream will be. This is the third one I've done in 3 weeks, so I'm probably going to take a little break from them for a while. But I want to say an absolutely huge thank you to all of you for stopping by, for watching, for donating, for being part of this whole crazy mad journey. I hope at some point this year I will get a chance to thank as many of you in person as I possibly can. As and when that happens, I'll of course let you all know. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Have a great evening. Have a good week. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.